The triangle that beats all other triangles by a landslide. The only triangle that you've heard of since you were a tiny little baby. Probably the first triangle that you've ever heard of that was affiliated with something scary. Now I'm willing to bet a lot of money on the fact that we all are aware of what the Bermuda Triangle is. But what we aren't aware of is the fact that there is a lot more to the Bermuda Triangle than you originally knew. Also, that Bermuda Triangle isn't the only suspicious looking triangle on this globe. There are apparent hotspots, or what people in the industry of conspiracies would like to say, portals to another dimension, all across this beautiful, beautiful earth of ours. But then again, there are times when there are a few mysteries that deserve a little more attention. And the Bermuda Triangle, considering its history of some of the biggest names ever to go missing there, an entire bomber fleet of United States Air Force aircraft going missing there, some of the biggest ships going missing there, it certainly drew a lot of eyes. And there was certainly a lot of questions involved. Let's get one thing straight off the bat. What do scientists say is the reason for all of this? There are a lot of reefs surrounding that vicinity. From Miami to San Juan to Bermuda, that triangle has a lot of rifts. And these rifts are longer than most rifts. Also, they extend for quite a bit. And they protrude quite a lot. Thereby, the olden times, ships were made of wood, so getting clipped and damaged wasn't so out of the books, wasn't so out there of a theory, because most of the ships would receive immense damage to their hulls and they would just sink. Now, there are other hotspots across the globe where sailors have experienced such things. It's not the only isolated region. But then again, there are a few instances where people would go out of their way and say that, this place has it more. There are more instances here. And yes, because they are quite concealed, if you would say. This area is abundant in terms of sea traffic. That makes it more susceptible for amateur sailors or amateur captains to run their ships ashore with reefs that they might not really have experience with guiding through. Also, this apparently is an epicenter for some serious rogue waves, which is never a good idea to witness, but then again, never a good idea to ever be around even. Yet, this does not, however, explain why planes go down in the region. There is a thing known as a volcanic ring in the Pacific Ocean, right? Known as the Ring of Fire. We all are aware of that, and for those of you that are not, I will include a link down below. Click on it. A brief read will tell you exactly what the Pacific Ring of Fire is all about. It's basically a chain of volcanoes. Now, the Atlantic does have volcanoes as well. Not a chain of them, but most certainly does. And it just so happens to be that this triangle sits right above one of the biggest volcanoes in the Atlantic. So a theory was that there were balls of methane gas that would get released from this volcano and rise above the surface of the water and go up to the atmosphere and come in contact with any plane passing the vicinity, thereby creating a pocket of nothing but methane. Engine failure, plane crashes. That was the theory that was put out. That there were way too many planes going down because of this very reason. They would hit a pocket of methane, there was no recovery, and that was it. It's sad, but that was the official reasoning for why the number of air crashes that were happening. So, with that being said, let's jump into some not so rational theories, right? Number one being aliens. We've all heard of this one. Aliens have something to do with the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. It's supposed to be a hot zone for them. They apparently have a base underneath. They've got aliens zooming in and out of the Earth's atmosphere, going straight down into the Bermuda Triangle, going straight back up. They've got some big ships underwater, completely concealed. All of that. Heard all of that. I'm sure you have as well. Considering that you're watching an open word discussion oriented video, I'm sure you've done your due diligence with other topics. So considering this with aliens, I'm sure you've heard of it before. But in my personal opinion, there are a lot of conspiracy theories that do hold a lot of ground towards aliens. This one, I am not convinced about aliens being involved. The other thing is sabotage. Now, let's give this one a little bit of thought, right? Certain government agencies have always been known to sabotage certain other organizations for whatever reasons that they deem necessary. The Bermuda Triangle could be the perfect cover up. Some of the big names that disappeared in this region could have been because of that reason. Could have been because there was a government organization waiting for the right opportunity. This theory doesn't really hold much ground, but it is out there and it is supposedly very heavy with the fingers that it points. That's why I've kind of kept it filtered. I don't want to go out of my way without certain evidence to just point fingers at certain organizations, even though people love doing that. But as long as I don't see sustainable proof in front of me, I don't think I'm going to be willing to go down that path just yet. But what I do know is that when it comes to this, everyone's going to be asking the question about Amelia Earhart. What happened to her? There are a billion conspiracies about that. There are a billion conspiracies about whether she was even in the plane. Did she go down in the region? Was she abducted? There are theories about her never dying at all, making it even though her plane crashed. I mean, it's as wide as you'd like to go into it. It's the literal meaning of the word deep dive if you go into the whole Amelia Earhart theories. But this isn't a topic about that. This is a topic about the Bermuda Triangle. There's another one in Nevada. There's another one in the South China Sea. So there are these spots that have certain anomalies in terms of what does not take place anywhere else on the globe, which makes sense because there are hotspots for everything across the globe. You can find hotspots for magnetic anomalies as well. You can find hotspots for nuclear reactors. There are naturally occurring nuclear reactors. If you didn't know, look it up. It's a thing. Bottom line being, you walk away with this from this theory, the oldest one in the book, with two things in mind. Number one, you believe the science and you let it go. Or number two, you become super skeptical about it all and you choose to believe that either aliens were involved or sabotage or governments were involved. Now that does not explain normal everyday civilians suffering, being the victims of some severe storms, crashes, whatever be the case. Bottom line being, it could just be a place that has its own anomalies like multiple regions across the globe do. It's not easy to just write it off as something that is naturally occurring as a region, yet it is a very strong possibility that it just might be. And in this show, I've gone above and beyond when it comes to making sure that I'm standing behind what I'm saying. So when I say that I'm not convinced that aliens are involved in the Bermuda Triangle, I guess I'll stick to my guns on that one. I'll see you guys in the next one.